Hi, this is Coach Colette, and I am so excited to welcome you to the first Coach Chat episode of 2020. And I can't think of a better way to kick off the year than with this episode with my friend Monica Sekhmet Grant. She is the founder and CEO of Young Boss Media here in New York. She's also a talk show host, public speaker, and small business owner. And you will recognize her name because she and her team produced our Start Within Live podcast event last year with Ashley Wisdom. So this time I got to sit down with Monica and really talk about what is the real deal with entrepreneurship. Monica shared her thoughts on how she stays focused, how she gets grounded, how she stays aligned with her true vision, mission, and purpose, while also still creating space and community for other media professionals to be able to bring their stories to light. So I really think you're going to have a great time listening to this episode because I had a great time having this conversation with Monica. So get ready and listen up to this first Coach Chat episode of 2020 with Monica Sekhmet Grant. Hi, this is Coach Colette, and I am really excited for this episode of Coach Chat. I have on the air with me today Monica Sekhmet Grant. She is the CEO and executive producer of Young Boss Media. And if you were listening to our Coach Chat Live episode on Black Women's Health with Ashley Wisdom, it was Monica and her team that actually produced that event for us here in New York City. So really excited to have a behind the scenes chat with Monica today. Welcome.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
I'm good. This is like me being at your job. Like you're at work right now. I love this. I love this. I know you behind the scenes. I love this. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm sorry. I'm silly.
No, it's all good. I'm excited and really to have this conversation about the real deal of entrepreneurship. And because I know that sometimes like how when we see it on social media, we see it on the Instagram or wherever, and it's like, oh my God, everything looks great. It must be fantastic to be an entrepreneur. So we want to dispel some myths about it.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. So one, I'm so thankful to be on your show. And for the world to know, Coach Colette is a friend of mine, and I know her as an entrepreneur. And she knows me as a scrappy entrepreneur as well. And the realities of entrepreneurship is that it's real, it's tough, it's hard. It's not what social media shows you. Everybody wants to show the good side, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that, you know, you can never show because your brand doesn't allow for it, you know? And so I'm happy to have this conversation with you because a lot of people need to know this and know that their business is not destroying in front of them because things aren't going as well as social media shows, you know?
Right. Yeah. So, and I love that you said scrappy entrepreneur because I think that is part of the journey, would you say?
Absolutely. You can't plan, no matter how great your to-do list looks like, you know, you can't plan for each day. You know, you always have to fight for the next resource, fight for a conversation with that person that could fund your next endeavor. Sometimes you gotta, you know, fight for yourself, you know, self-care. Like everything is about like really bringing things together. There's so many things that a book hasn't warned me about in entrepreneurship. Philosophies can't warn me about the things that I go through on a day-to-day basis, the personalities and who you're going to meet and the good side, the bad side and all that. So yeah, you have to definitely be scrappy. You have to have your coffee. You have to be really aware of what's going on around you because, you know, like it's a game. that you're always playing, 24/7.
So how did we get here? I know we can talk about how we've connected, but what is
Hmm.
your founder's journey? What was that like?
Yeah, for sure. So I've always been an artist. I've been playing music since I was 7. Never really took it serious as a craft until later in life. Um, I was also an activist. I was an activist in middle school and high school. And so that's something I'm very passionate about. I was Black Lives Matter before Black Lives Mattered, you know. And then I was also an entrepreneur. My family's from Detroit, I'm from Michigan, but I grew up in North Augusta, South Carolina. And so I was always trying to sell things. And so I guess even just at a very young age, like I was my own person, and so I never looked to any way of life as I'm going to do this and I'm going to have this job and I'm going to do that. I always knew that I was kind of unique and I just kind of need to follow my own path. I was never happy just having the organizer job because I was still writing poetry and writing rhymes in my book, And so the entrepreneur in me said, well, don't just be, a silent artist, put it out there, push yourself out there. And so these things just kept coming up in my life and showing up in my life until eventually somebody said, hey, so when are you going to do your own show? When's this going to happen? And at the time I was producing at Manhattan Neighborhood Network in New York. And a few people actually asked me that, like, Monica, when are you going to do your own thing? Like you're working with everybody else. And so it was something that kind of started nagging me. And March 22nd, 2017, I shot the first episode of Master Plan. And Master Plan is about entrepreneurship. I interview entrepreneurs and really just get up in the business. Like, how'd you do it? How'd you start? In the Black community, we don't have a lot of business mentors like, say, other communities would have. And so Master Plan is always about getting entrepreneurs, small business owners, social innovators in the hot seat and really helping us understand, what is their journey. So kind of like what you're doing right now. Mm-hmm. And from there, March 22nd, 2017, it just took off. And that really was like the higher power saying, this is where you need to be. And so that day when I filmed the first episode of Master Plan, I think I had really found alignment. And that was the Most High saying, that's where you need to be. Stay there and dig roots. And so that's what I've been doing since that day, is really digging roots, digging deep roots, building relationships. Like my hair is on fire, whatever, right?
Right.
And so I think by the time I hit 30, I was just like, listen, I ain't bouncing around no more. I ain't going nowhere. If this is what people are saying is going to work, if the Most High says where I need to be, I'm going to just sit here and I'm going to do the work. And things really started aligning for me.
Right. It's interesting when I talk with other entrepreneurs, my journey is different. Well, we all have different journeys, but I didn't have that, selling something, or the newspaper route or lemonade, whatever it was as a young person. So mm-hmm. I think it's interesting when you were saying that the themes kept coming up, that even when you had a quote unquote, 9-to-5 job, that you had some other kind of passion that you were also fueling, whether it was your art or even with the activism, right? There was always something that was happening on the side. It's almost like side hustle before we were calling it side hustle, if you will. Mm-hmm. And how then did you develop that confidence to take the leap and make the side hustle the forefront, put it in the center?
So one, I think it always goes back to spirituality. I feel like I've always been led spiritually. And when we talk about alignment, there was a period in between my late 20s where I was just out of alignment. And I was really unhappy in life. I was traveling, and I was traveling with the union, and I was living in hotels and working on different campaigns. And although that seems like it's great, at that time in life, it was like I'm away from my family. I got a new niece. I want to be home. And so when you're not in a good space, things just don't work out. And so even when you lose your keys, a lot of times it's because you're out of alignment. And so year after year, I was just doing things that just didn't make sense. So I was on a campaign. I was working on a campaign in Florida, and I was living in a house with some other organizers, and I was drinking. And so that's why I talked about drinking earlier. I ended up going into a hot tub and falling in the hot tub. And I hit my lower lumbar. And from that moment on, I thought I was going to be paralyzed. And so the injury took me out of the organizing game as far as like physically. And when I tell you, I thought I was never gonna walk again. I thought it was over. I didn't give up though, right? I knew that I had to still work because nobody's gonna take care of me. Nobody's gonna, like my mama ain't about to quit her job so I can come live with her. And, like that's not, I don't come from that background. I don't come from the background where somebody's gonna come take care of Monica. So I knew that, as I'm recovering and I'm going to like a physical therapist, I'm going to the chiropractor, I'm dealing with, my lower nervous system, my sciatic nerve and all that. I'm having to figure out like, what am I going to do for my career? And I had already been producing a talk show before. And so it was kind of like, I wouldn't even say it was confidence. It was like out of desperation. Because when I shot the first episode of Master Plan, it wasn't because I was getting paid for it. It was almost like that's what made me happy. That's how I found alignment to then attract money. And so taking Master Plan to another level was almost like it was cathartic. And then when I started to see how people would light up after interviews, when people would light up, when they would see it on social media, like, oh, you're doing great things. Yeah, I need to introduce you to such and such. That's when it started to click to me. It's like, yo, this is what you've been looking for. All those past failed businesses or the time you try to sell insurance and this or that when it didn't work out, all of that was preparation for this moment. And so like really the story of like getting it out the mud, getting it, when you're rock bottom, that's like the Young Boss Media story. I don't even know, like I didn't have any confidence in 2017. I was depressed. I was like out of it, and so that was the light at the end of the tunnel for me.
Right. It's like one of those dark nights of the soul. And then there's the sense of which path are you going to choose as a result of what happened. And it's interesting when I heard you speak, immediately I started thinking about chakras, and like our lower chakras are around sort of like survival and security, first chakra, and then there's also creativity in the second chakra. So it's interesting that when you said that was blocked, and now stepping into this vision of Young Boss Media, it's revived almost those chakras for you in a way.
Very much. So that's why also I take it very, I take what, what comes from Young Boss Media very personal, because it wasn't just, oh, let me look at the industry. Let me see what's profitable right now. Let me look at the revenue charts and all that. It really is an internal walk that, and then Young Boss Media is just, like the byproduct, really. I am connected with my spirituality because I feel like God gave me this business. And I feel like only through me being aligned will things really work out.
Right.
So really like when there's a blockage in my business, there's probably a blockage in me,
right.
That I have to work on. My energy is what's either attracting people or attracting the wrong people,
Right.
And so really
Definitely.
doing a lot of self-work, that's my reality, every
Right.
day. It's like, how can I get, like I just told you, like, I'm going vegan. And part of it is like, I want to raise my consciousness. I want to be a more spiritual person. I want to be able to tap into higher realms, because that's ultimately going to impact how I do business, who I can connect with, the frequencies that I'm able to operate on.
Right.
Because even the shows are the byproduct of my relationships,
Right. So it's your soul journey that you're on, and all of us are kind of there for the ride.
Ain't that dope?
Yeah, I'm loving that. And the other piece that I wanted to tap into while it's fresh from what you said was there was still awareness, though, on your part of what the quote unquote market was saying, in terms of, like you said, I heard you say like, oh, I saw people light up, and then people would say, oh, you need to interview such and such, right? So even though this was an internal, birth really for you, there is still then the external resonation with the message or the medium, or with you, would you say?
Absolutely. I think coming from being an organizer, I was one. I'm a natural people person, but I also understand the skills of like, what is the ground saying? Listen to the ground. And even just in my life, like I have relatives that work in the music industry, and like particularly like in the early '90s. And so I never really like wanted that. I always, believed in like, if I'm going to build anything, I want to build it from the ground up. I want to be a Master P or a Jay Prince, who built their record labels. And so listening to the ground is very important, because that's your audience. I can't tap into the $1 million market until I start to tap into, who's the first person that likes this? Why do they like it? The people that come on my show, why did they like the interview? Who can they introduce me to? And so those skills as an organizer really helped me to pay attention to that initial data. And I still pay attention to it. I still pay attention to what people are saying. Right now, I think at this level, it's a little more fanish and that's kind of weird in itself. But initially, a lot of people were bringing out like ideas. You should think about this. You should think about that. And all that's super important. And I'm always up for it. I never got offended when people give me feedback. Because I think if you go back and look at the first episodes of Master Plan, it's a black background, 2 chairs, 1 camera. It was very simple because I didn't have a producer the first season, for real. So it was 1 camera, 1 shot, that was it. And I always knew that as I built my team, then eventually I could do more things. And so I never worried about when somebody was like, oh, well, you should change the background. I would love that. One day we will. It's just not today. I got 10 people to interview today. And so what's so funny is because when we first started, I would interview like 6 or 7 people. Come on in. Just to really get my chops together. So I think for the first season of Master Plan, we probably have about 50 episodes. And not all have actually been, aired on MNN. They just went up online. And so that was the type of like volume that I was doing with those type of relationships. Come on through the door, let's talk, let's meet. Somebody says for you to show up, let's talk, let's meet. And then from there, speaking with entrepreneurs, like, how do we do business? You enjoyed the show, you enjoyed the conversation. Well, this is my company. How can I help you more? And then that's what spiraled into business and contracts. So yeah, like that initial data is so important, because that's the people that's going to buy from you. That's the people that are watching you. That's the people that actually want to see you win.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you mentioned the fandom, if you will, because we are in the age of likes and follows and everything, and it can be tough for us as entrepreneurs to, one, stay true to passion, and then 2, I love what you said, listening to the ground, sort of our early adopters. What do you do to stay true in this age of fandom?
Honestly, so I think what I'm learning now about myself is that I have a lot of introvert qualities. And so I have a big personality, but I also like to be at home. I like to read. I like to be introspective. And so now it's like, I don't even have anything to talk about on social media anymore. And I'm definitely not going to debate what I think with somebody online. I'll debate what I think with somebody that I know, that I love, that I see all the time, that I know has an interest in my life, in my personal life, not just the pictures that they see online, And so like what you see online, it's not fake. I live a great life, but there's also so much more to me that I really want to save it for the people that are willing to actually be there. And one thing that I think is a theme for this year is that I started closing doors that I had open to people that chose not to walk through them. And so I'm able to separate like what happens online, because I can actually look around and I can see like who's really showing up in my real life. And that means so much to me. Like this conversation means so much to me. My family means so much to me. Like my goal is just to live a really great life in real life. I don't care if it looks great. I want it to be great in real life.
Mm-hmm. It's the real experiences versus the, oh, let's take a glossy, fun shot
Yeah.
for social media. Yeah.
Right. Right.
I think that's interesting from the perspective of also being real with yourself, since we're talking about being real as with entrepreneurship, right? That sense of who's on your squad, or like, who are your champions. And I love what you said about, creating those boundaries between people who might be, that fan versus friend. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's really important. So do you think that that also helps you to not get caught up in the, oh my God, we had 1,000 people like this show, or this episode?
Right. It's like, don't get high on your own supply.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very much so. And I do feel that had this happened when I was in my 20s, I might have taken it I might have ran with it. Yeah, this is my show. This is all about me, girl. Yeah, like I might have ran with that. And so I feel like, everything works out when it's supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think where I am in my life, like, thank you for watching the show. I hope you gained something. But it also lets me know when people want to work with me, right? Sometimes I ask them why. Like, if you don't know me personally, what's your favorite episode of Master Plan? Sometimes I ask people that. They haven't even watched my show. They're just going off of pictures that they've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you want to learn from me, I've actually laid out a whole catalog where you can watch what I've done and also watch, from other entrepreneurs, if that's what you want, if you want somebody to mentor you. Because my time is valuable. All of our time is super valuable, and our energy is so valuable. And you can't just you can't catch your pearls of swine, And so I'm always conscious of who's coming into my life and why, because every level has new devils, And so, why are you coming into my life? Are you just here because you wanna flex? Because some people come around me just because they want to flex. Oh, I'm with Young Boss Media. I'm in the studio, but they're not producing nothing. They're not doing nothing. But yeah, I'll see like my studio all over their social media. It's like, what are you doing? Are you a producer? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you this or that? They're just flexing. Mm-hmm. And I get that, but it's also like you can't have that energy of I'm not willing to do the work around me, because I work. I am a worker's worker. I like my family from Detroit. I come from that factory blood, And so I pay attention to the people that are in my life and why. What do you want to learn from me? What do you want to gain from me? And what do you have to offer me? What's the win-win?
How do you bring folks into the fold, right? Because you're saying, right, not just the people that want to flex and be like, hey, I'm on Young Boss Media, but the folks that actually are producing the shows and all of the hosts that you're also curating talent. Like, how are you creating that team?
So it all comes down to everybody has to sit down with me. Dun, dun, dun. You have to meet at the office and sit down with me, the boss. And even my brother, even Chris had to do it, I had to sit down with him and like, all right, so what you trying to do with my company? My big brother, and I tell people that to let them know it's like, that's how serious I am about it, because I'm not here to compete with Hollywood. I'm not here to, it's deeper than just being famous, And I think for people that want fame, it might come from, I didn't have self-esteem as a kid, or I was never told, I was beautiful and all that. I think as a child, I had self-esteem. I think everybody got picked on, definitely not the way that they do now. But I think I always had like a certain self-confidence that was just like in my blood. And so you see now with social media that people are just like, I need attention, love me. And it's like, Young Boss Media ain't for that. It's not for that. We're here to do work, because there's plenty of episodes that I look at my hair, I look at my outfit, and I'll be like, Monica, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? But like, the interview was so good, and like the information that the person had to offer was so good. It's like, I can't just hold on to this because I'm self-conscious about myself. Now that's selfish. And so for me, it's like, I got to let it fly. I got to put it up, because that's great information that the world needs to know. Where I know for a fact that somebody else would be like, I'm never showing that. I'm taking that down. No way. And so I have to be clear with that. When somebody comes in, I have to let them know, like, this is about the information. This is about the audience first. This is about our impact, and thinking about like, what is your contribution to the world now and when you leave? When you leave this earth, what are people thinking about you? What are they saying about you? I want people to be able to say, I feel comfortable as a plus size, queer, short hair, whatever, to be on TV, whether they know about me or not, Like, there's so many things with me being in front of the camera that I represent that I don't have to wave any kind of flag,
Mm-hmm.
And so that has to be super clear to the person that sits down with me. It's like, why are you here? If you just want pictures, you can pay my photographer.
Mm-hmm.
If you just want to look cool, this really ain't it. Like, I'm gonna make everything look fly, but I also might be on the side of the highway doing a highway cleanup. Are you willing to do that with me? Are you willing to go to a homeless shelter with me? Are you willing to really do the work that is required to improve our communities? Because remember, I'm still a community organizer using media. And so that's like the most important thing when I sit down with people is like, why are you doing this? And then from there, I ask them like, what impact are they attempting to make? What do you want to improve in this world? And so we have a young lady named Jasmine, and she came to me off of Indeed. And she wrote a treatment about a show involving mental health. She wants to help, that's not students, but like the youth who are dealing with mental health, which is a big deal right now. And so she came in with the idea. I helped her work, write out the treatment, get certified at the studio. We shot the pilot. She's actually editing her first season now. So she went from an idea to an actual finished product. And so it's not just about somebody like hosting a show, but it's also taking your idea and accomplishing something, setting goals and accomplishing them. That's like personal development. That's character building. And along the way, it's like, I'm here. So if it takes you a month to do it, all right, so let's take a month. If it takes you a year, if it takes you 2 years, I'm still here because I'm also building my company with just around what I'm doing. And so really like helping people understand that if I want to make an impact on the community personally and using my company to do it, I also have to be patient with the people that I'm working with, right? And
Right.
So the people that I'm working with, my producers, they're like family. Because like the mission is bigger than us. I think that's like the thing. Like the mission is bigger than us. Nobody is bigger than the team. No one is bigger than the mission. No one is bigger than the impact that we want to make. Not me, not my brother, not Raj, like no one. And so you have to check our egos. And so that's the first thing. When somebody comes and sits down with me, check your ego. What do you want? What are your intentions to accomplish? And if it's genuine, it's coming from the heart, I'll work with you.
So what do you think of the episode so far? What are your main takeaways? Before we jump into the next segment, I have a question for you. What's at stake for your health if you continue living your current routine? The thing is, we get so used to doing things in the same ways, we're actually more afraid to make changes than we are to live out our worn-out routines, even if they are causing us to feel ill, stressed, or overwhelmed. Can you imagine what it would be like to wake up in the morning and not have it hurt when you get out of bed, and to feel excited about your day? It is possible when you start within, and I'd like to help you do it. You can visit my website, startwithincoaching.com, and at the top, click Start Here to schedule your complimentary activation call. We can talk about what's going on in your life right now, how you are in your health, and where you would like to be. So go to startwithincoaching.com and click Start Here to start your journey within. So how do you stay sane in all of this? Or was that a presumption on my part?
Oh, I'm crazy. I think it goes back to what we were speaking about before. Just really this being my walk, and it's no one else's walk. It's really me taking one step and putting it in front of the other every day, and just being firm on that. And just knowing also like my personality, knowing that, Sometimes I want to be bold. Sometimes like I don't feel like going anywhere. Sometimes I want to be in my shell and just being okay with that. And also learning how to trust myself, like trusting my energy, knowing like, oh, like that how you felt about that person, that's real. You got to get away from them, or don't do business with these people. They won't do anything good for your brand. Just really like just being more in tune to myself, I think, is how it's been working. I don't know if I'm sane or not, but I think it's been working just because I've been able to articulate where I am in life. And, I work with my brother. And so me and Chris speak like every day. And like, this is my brother. Like, I can tell him things. And it's so interesting because I don't know how we got so close, but I'm able to tell him things that's like, yo, so like, I'm on a new spiritual kick and I need this or that, or, and like, I can just talk to him in a very vulnerable space. And like, this is my big brother. And like, and he'll cut in and be like, hey, did you see this on Breakfast Club? And and it's a very natural conversation that me and him can have that I think is my secret weapon, honestly. Mm-hmm. I really feel like having like my brother as one, he's a dope videographer, production guy. So that's like a super bonus. But then also like when I need to vent, I can just call my brother. Mm-hmm. And then if he acting up, I can call my mom. Be like, Ma, Chris getting on my nerves. He's saying this. And she gonna be like, yeah, and I tried to call him. And
that's funny.
My mom be been on a whole nother level.
That's
but I think to be able to have my family aware of what's going on in my business is really key. And like, my mom's not an entrepreneur. She never wanted to be. And I think it's her generation. They were taught to work, and so entrepreneurship was never a thing. They were never going to be in sales. And so all of this is new. And so even when I bring up new ideas to her at first, I could see her trying to process them, mm-hmm. And now when I bring up new ideas or like what's going on, she'll actually follow up and say, so how did that meeting go? That's good. You should follow up with them. Or, hey, when's the last time you spoke to this person? You should follow up with them. And so now like she's super, super engaged with what's going on. And she's taking mommy ownership of it, And so, she ain't gonna do the work, but she'll give her an opinion that actually like might make sense. It's like, all right, yeah, that's a good idea.
Right.
And so I think that's what keeps me like in alignment, and as sane as I possibly can in this earthly body, in this flesh, is because I have people that get me and support me. So even if like what I'm doing is completely crazy, I'm surrounded by other crazy people that say, yeah, keep going, mm-hmm. And I think that's really like my superpower. And for people that just don't have that support, I can honestly say that it took years for my mother to get to where she is today, as far as like supporting the business. It takes people time to evolve, to be able to understand that this is just who you are. This is how you express yourself. Yeah, it's different. I think I was always kind of a different child. That's probably why she put me in music. That's probably why I was in the band, but I was cool. So like, I wasn't like a nerd, I was just, different. I'm artsy. And so I've always been that way. And so I think eventually over time, people will just accept you for who you are. Once you say, this is who I am, you don't have to like it or not, But yeah, that's how I stay sane. I got crazy people around me and they make me feel good about myself. They pick up my phone call.
They answer when you call. They respond when you text.
Yeah. They feed me, so.
Yeah, I think that's so important, the trusted advisors. And I'm laughing. So I'm like, so we are complementary, because I was the nerd in the orchestra and you were the cool artsy person in the band. So I guess that's why we work, because we complement each other.
That's right.
And I hear that it can take time for people who are not on the entrepreneurial journey to understand the different choices that we make, right? Whether that's family or friends. I've had that similar experience right, where now family is like, oh, I understand this is what you do, and right, why certain days you might be working and others you're not, and that may not be like Monday to Friday 9 to 5, right? That it's going to be different, and
Right.
that you're going to need to make different choices, and it is important to have those trusted advisors and the people in your squad that can support you on those days when it's just like, yo, it didn't work. And I don't know why it didn't
Yeah.
work. And I need to have you listen, even if you can't do anything about it. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that I ask all of my guests is, what does start within mean to you?
I think that everything, so somewhere in the Bible, in the scripture, it says you can judge a tree by the fruit that it bears, right? And so I think that anything that you see from Young Boss Media is just some of my fruit, all of it's my fruit. All of it's something that I produced out of my thought, and I was able to manifest, through the creation process. I don't have any kids, so this is what comes from me. And so that's why it's so important that what comes from me has integrity. And so starting within, for me, I know that I have a gold mine within me. And there are projects that I just can't get to. I'm looking for resources so I can get to mine more gold within me. And I think that's why I was anxious in my 20s, because I recognized that it's like I have a big potential. What am I doing with it? And so even now I'm reading the book, Release Your Brakes by James Newman. And it talks about that. It's like, most of us are driving with the brake on. And it's because of the thoughts that we tell ourselves, the things that we tell, oh, I can do this, or I wish I could do this. What that really means is I can, and I won't, and I'll never do it. And so it's like really training, retraining your thoughts and going beyond affirmations. And so all of that happens within. Like, I can tell you that I like something, but if you're saying, no, Monica, I'm fat, I'm this, whether you say that out loud or not, if you're saying that within your head, it doesn't matter if I compliment you. It doesn't matter if I tell you you're great. It's really all about what you say about yourself. And, and so really, like, I'm looking to get to another level. I want to max out this life. I want to do as much as I can. I want to reach my potential. I want to shoot for the stars in this physical flesh right now. And then whatever happens to it, if I become an ascended master or whatever, if I reincarnate, I want to come back as like Mansa Musa 2.0, 4.0, I want to have gold bars all around me. I want to be in the palace if I got to come back into the physical form, So that's how much I really want to like reach my potential as Monica Grant, CEO of Young Boss Media, and whatever is to come now. But all of that truly starts within me. No one can give that to me. No one can motivate me. Maybe they can inspire certain things or certain thoughts, but it's really within me to pull it out, to mine that gold. And I got a lot of gold, and I think we all do. I don't think it's just me. I've never thought it was just me. I just thought I was maybe crazy enough to be an introvert and go within a little quicker than most people do. But that's the impact that I'm gonna, I'm gonna make on the world, is just going deeper into, myself, and just pulling it out and saying, hey, I got this. Oh, I got a new rap album. Coach Colette, I might put out a rap album next year. I've been working on some music. I might have a whole unnecessary rap career for no reason, just because I got some bars. There's so many ideas that I have that are coming from within me, and that I want to get out, and I want to be able to leave for the next generation. So, starting within means like going to like Super Walmart with the black card. Like, I'm getting everything. Like,
okay, I can say I've never heard that as an answer. So how can our listeners keep up with you and the team and see all these great episodes that you're talking about?
Yeah, for sure. So official website is youngboss.tv. So not .com, but .tv. If you want to learn more about me, youngbossmedia.com. If you would like to go on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube. It's youtube.com/youngbossmedia, Young Boss Media Facebook, youngboss.tv on Instagram. My personal page on Instagram is Young Boss Brand. So if you know what I look like, or if you know the company logo, you can find us. Young Boss Media, everything. And yeah. Oh, also I'm on LinkedIn. So if you want to do some business, you can hit me up on LinkedIn. But I'm always available to do business on any platform.
Got it. The young boss is always available to do business.
That's a fact.
That makes sense.
That's a fact.
So I knew it was going to be a great conversation, but I had no idea how great this was going to be. So I am so glad that we made the time to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm
for this.
And I can't even imagine at this point what 2020 is going to look like for both of our brands, and looking forward to more collaboration and just more awesomeness.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And according to the spiritual leaders that I follow, because I'll be trying to tap in, they say 2020, definitely things are going to shift. But if you're paying attention and you're aware, you can be able to ride the good wave. Ooh. And so that's all I'm trying to do, is be on that good wave.
Got it. Yeah. So, and if you're listening to Start Within and watching Young Boss Media, I think, we're aiming to be on that good wave.
Right. That's right. You are aligned.
All right. Well, thank you, Monica, for everything. It's like, I can't even, I'd have to do a whole nother show to like go through all the bullet points at this point.
Well, you know what? I'm glad we had this conversation, because one, I don't think a lot of people could actually ask the questions that you asked and then have the follow-up questions and to understand what I'm saying. So like the fact that me and you can exchange this dialogue is super important. And then it's something that I want to be able to share amongst the people that think they know me, but maybe weren't able to have this conversation with me. Like, so this is super important for me too. So I appreciate you.
Thank you. If you enjoyed this episode and haven't already subscribed, you can do so on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. You also can connect with me on Instagram at coach_Colette for more inspiration on personal growth and wellness. Stay tuned for another episode of Coach Chat, and get ready to start within to finish strong.